What happens when the Phoenix Force doesn't choose one host, but five? Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus, Magik, and Namor become the Phoenix Five, godlike, unstoppable, and at first saviors of the world. But absolute power never stays pure. But this story isn't just splash pages of destruction. It's the turning point of Avengers vs. X-Men, where loyalties fracture, creators like Brian Michael Bendis and Adam Kubert leave their mark, and even Tom Brevoort calls it a fulcrum issue for the whole event. Today we're diving deep into Avengers vs. X-Men number 8, a comic that shaped Marvel's biggest crossover of 2012. All the drama, the behind-the-scenes creators, and the legacy it left in comics. Let's dig in. Phoenix Force has returned, but this time, thanks to the interference of the Avengers, its all-consuming power has splintered and has possessed 5 mutants: Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus, Magik, and Namor, the Phoenix Five. As this fivesome begin to wield their immense power across the globe, they do so with a sense of altruism for all mankind, human and mutant. However, the dark and invasive nature of the Phoenix begins to take a toll on the mutants, and their lust for more power and control grows. Battling the Avengers at every turn, the Five's leader Cyclops struggles to decide his next move. However, his hand is forced when the impulsive Namor chooses to level Wakanda in an act of war, something that both the X-Men and the Avengers wanted to avoid. As the story opens, Wakanda reels from the tidal forces brought on by the Phoenix-powered Namor. The Avengers, who have taken refuge in the mystical land of Kunlun, are first to the scene in Wakanda and attempt to take down Namor. Captain America, Iron Fist, T'Challa, and Red Hulk and a whole host of other Avengers rain down on the Submariner in an epic battle. On Utopia, the mutant capital, Cyclops, Magik, and Colossus learn of Namor's actions, and that Emma Frost pushed him to do so, showing dissension among the Phoenix Five. During the raging battle in Wakanda, the Scarlet Witch pulls out all the stops and seemingly puts Namor down for good. Cyclops and his team arrive when suddenly Namor's Phoenix powers escape him and are shared with the rest of the team. The Phoenix Five are now the Phoenix Four. Professor X speaks to the mutants and begs for them to stop their course of action. Cyclops ignores his former teacher, who then vows to put them all down. Meanwhile, the remaining Avengers, broken, beaten, but victorious for the moment, head back to Kunlun, deciding what the next steps in their plan should be. The story continues in issue number 9. Avengers vs. X-Men, or AVX, or A vs. X, was the brainchild of Jason Aaron, Brian Michael Bendis, Ed Brubaker, Jonathan Hickman, Matt Fraction, and included a rotating team of artists including John Romita Jr., Oliver Coipel, and Adam Kubert. Avengers vs. X-Men was a commercial success, if not a critical one. However, some of the top-selling comics coming out of 2012 were from this miniseries. Issue 8 was written by Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis' debut with Marvel was on The Ultimate Spider-Man in 2000, and he has since gone on to be a prolific writer, penning such stories as Avengers Disassembled, Secret War, House of M, and Age of Ultron. Bendis is the co-creator of Riri Williams, Miles Morales, and Jessica Jones. In 2009, Bendis and Alex Maleev launched Spider-Woman, which was the first comic book to be offered simultaneously on the internet as a motion comic and in comic stores in print form. The interiors were done by Adam Kubert. The Kubert family has deep roots in the comic industry. Adam is the son of Joe Kubert and brother of Andy Kubert, both comic book artists as well, and the uncle of comics editor Katie Kubert. Adam began his comics career as an occasional letterer for DC Comics in late 1977. His first credited work as a colorist came in 1982 in the Dr. Fate backup feature in The Flash, number 310. In 2005, Adam and Andy signed exclusive contracts with DC Comics. His first project was illustrating Last Son, a Superman story arc co-written by Jeff Johns and Richard Donner. Inking Kubert's art was John Dell. Dell is a seasoned veteran of the comics industry, and his first work, Southern Nights, was published in 1986. He has worked for DC on titles like The Demon, Robin, Lobo, and Supergirl, among others. At Marvel, he has inked such titles as Young Avengers, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. There were 2 colorists on this issue, Laura Martin and Larry Molinar. Martin has worked with several major comic companies including DC, Marvel, and CrossGen. This is not her first time working with Bendis, as she colored Secret Invasion in 2008, and by 2009 she had signed an exclusive contract with Marvel. Larry Molinar is a comic book colorist and cover artist who has contributed to dozens of titles for major publishers like DC, Marvel, and Wildstorm. One of his notable works was on the CrossGen title Solus, where he handled the color duties for the series artist George Perez. The stunning cover for issue 8 was designed by Jim Chung and Justin Posner. Chung is known for his work on the series such as Scion for CrossGen and several Avengers-related series. He co-created the Young Avengers, including its members Kate Bishop, Hulkling, Iron Lad, Patriot, Speed, and Wiccan. He was named in August 2005 as one of Marvel's Young Guns, a group of artists that, according to Marvel editor Joe Quesada, have the qualities that make a future superstar penciler. Justin Japo Ponzor was born in San Diego, California. He began his professional career working for Wildstorm as an in-house colorist in 1996. By 2000, he went freelance and was one of the first creatives at CrossGen in 2002. In 2005, he began coloring almost exclusively for Marvel. His work on Avengers earned him a nomination for a Golden Issue Award by comicbook.com in 2018. Ponzor died in 2019 after a 2-year battle with cancer. Chris Eliopoulos is known as a prolific letterer, in particular for hand-lettering the first 100 issues of the ongoing Savage Dragon series, even after much of the comic book industry had come to rely on computer-generated fonts. Eliopoulos designed the fonts for Marvel's in-house computer lettering unit. He also contributed lettering work to Valiant, DC, and other publishers. Tom Brevoort is known for his editorial work on New Avengers, Civil War, and Fantastic Four. He became executive editor in 2007, and in January 2011 was promoted to additionally serve as senior vice president of publishing. Brevoort did an issue-by-issue commentary for CBR titled AVX Commentary Track, in which he discusses the pivotal sequences in issue number 8. When balancing the crossover's thematic stakes, he said, issue 8 was seen internally as a fulcrum point. It was where the stakes had to feel like they shifted in a war between Avengers and the X-Men. That meant not only ramping up the conflict, but making sure there were moments that make readers question what side they're on, morally, ideologically. On the writer collaboration process, he said, "We were lucky in that each writer brought something distinct to their piece, and when stitched together in this issue, it had to flow. So there were conversations about pacing, about which character beats would get emphasis, and how to make sure the transitions between styles didn't jar." Did you know that this wasn't the first and wouldn't be the last time Wakanda takes a severe beating in the pages of Marvel Comics? In 2010's Doom War number 1 through 6, Wakanda's vibranium resources are seized. Much of its infrastructure is damaged under Doom's scheme, although not a full destruction, but severe losses were incurred. Namor's famous battle cry of Imperious Rex makes an appearance in this issue. Having been around since the golden age of the character, the actual meaning of the term has been debated. Namor tends to use it as his own battle cry, while it also seems to serve as an insult, scream of rage, or a mix of both. In 2018's Thor number 1 by Jason Aaron, the God of Thunder asked Namor about the phrase. But considering they were in the middle of a heated battle, Namor was not inclined to provide a believable answer. This having been my first go-round with this mini-series, I wasn't too sure what to expect. I thoroughly loved Secret War, House of M, and Age of Ultron, so I was expecting big things from Bendis on this run, and he delivered. The story is action-packed yet incredibly introspective, specifically from Cyclops and Hope Summers' point of view. We see how the Scarlet Witch's actions have taken a toll on her and the rest of mutant kind. I feel the story is slightly lopsided towards the Avengers and their struggles with the Phoenix Five, and not enough attention is paid to the mutant side of the argument. Almost no mutants outside the Phoenix Five have much to do in this series, and only towards the end do we begin to see them come into the spotlight. I would have liked to see a little more from the rank-and-file mutant teams regarding their feelings about the war and how they opted to take sides. Adam Kubert, who penciled issues 8 through 12 of this run, shows his craftsmanship in detailing massive action scenes with many moving parts and still being able to tell a cohesive story. I love the art, inks, and coloring in this issue. The splash page, pardon the pun, with Namor taking down Wakanda, and the page featuring Kunlun were my particular favorites. I see issues selling on my comic shop for $9, while Key Collector Comics is selling them for $3. Meanwhile, PriceCharting.com is listing mint issues of this comic going for $47, off its highs of $320 in March of 2023. Maybe I should never have cracked open my issue. In 2012, Marvel was riding high off the success of the Avengers, the Marvel Studios film which helped propel sales of its comics. Marvel was the single biggest comic publisher by units and dollars in the direct market. Disney did not share comic revenues that year, but best estimates indicate Marvel made $274 million in comic sales, up from $267 million the year before. While its revenue increased, its share dipped slightly versus 2011, even as overall market share grew. This is mainly due to Marvel's direct competitor, DC, launching New 52 just the year earlier, which caused big waves in the market and was still driving big numbers for DC. July saw a number of Marvel titles take top billing, mostly Avengers, X-Men, and this miniseries in particular. However, the biggest winner of the month was Image Comics, as their extremely popular title, The Walking Dead, celebrated its 100th issue. It sold over 335,000 copies. This title was the third highest seller of the month at almost 175,000. It also drove the third most revenue for the month. Almost every back issue of Avengers vs. X-Men was on the top seller list for July as well. For the month, Marvel came out on top with 2.65 million copies sold, and DC with a very close 2.53 million. Image, IDW, and Dark Horse rounded out the top 5. The top title for the month was this miniseries, selling 372,000 copies, Walking Dead with 366,000, Uncanny X-Men at 130, Batman at 127,000, and Justice League at 124,000 copies sold. As mentioned, Walking Dead number 100 was the top comic, followed by Avengers vs. X-Men number 7, number 8, Batman number 11, and Justice League number 11. Only 3 brands advertised in this issue. The rest were ads for Marvel Comics or its digital properties like Marvel AR. Cirque du Soleil was promoting the Ka show at the MGM Grand. Interestingly enough, Cirque and Marvel teamed up to create a comic book based on this show. The title was a limited 4-part series created by Brian J.L. Glass with art by Wellington Alves and colorist Jean-François Bilot. Gearbox was promoting Borderlands 2, the sequel to the surprise hit from 2009. Toymaker CDI was promoting Scatterbrain's Sticky Darts, a collectible series of dart characters you can purchase. They featured the Brain Bazooka and Mental Case carrying case as well. As mentioned, Marvel was heavily promoting their own work, including New Mutants 48, Avengers 29, Uncanny X-Men 17, New Avengers 29, and Wolverine and the X-Men number 15. This week, I wanted to find a comic shop along the same theme as our featured comic. If you're ever in the area, I recommend you check out Phoenix Comics, located at 1010 16th Avenue Northwest in Calgary, Alberta, or check them out at phoenixcomics.ca. That's going to wrap up our deep dive into Avengers vs. X-Men number 8. What did you think of the Phoenix 5 storyline? Did Marvel strike gold here, or did it tip too far into chaos? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more deep dive comic history and analysis. Tap that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks for watching, and until next time, don't forget to read the freaking comics.